Greetings, class. In chapter number 12, let's take a moment to expand upon the knowledge that we've already gained in terms of changing color, but mainly in terms of changing the text that's behind the scenes in the document itself. There are times that you want to have a consistent look and feel to the fonts on your website, and this is how we do it. Let's take a moment, share my screen, and take it to the next level together. So remember our Learn CSS in 12 Minutes website. It came with a standard series of fonts, but maybe we don't want to stick with those fonts. Maybe we don't want to stick with those colors. Let's talk about how we might edit the cascading style sheets to help us in that regard. Excuse me. So here we have the body, and here in the body, we're now using font family Arial Sans Serif. Well, I might want to take that to the next level and I might want to use Georgia. I might want to work with different line heights. That's all in the power of my hands by editing that font family to be in line with what we think is better. So let's take a look at this preview. And go refresh our work. Oops, that could break some things if I put too many curly braces in there. It certainly will. All right, here we are. So the font looks slightly different here because we went with a different feel. There's a great website out there, the CSS fonts, in terms of the W3 schools. I love them. They're wonderful. They really help us kind of understand how to work well with this. In fact, there's a series of CSS tutorials that we're having you do on demand in the class to help in that regard as well. But certainly these folks can help us experiment with different fonts that we think might be better. I might want to do Lucida Console, for instance, and look at its effect and see if that plays a different role in terms of how things look on the website. So back to our CSS, and maybe I want Lucida Console for my font family. The way this works is it does this, looks for this first on your computer, on your browser. If Lucida doesn't exist, it's going to use Courier New. If Courier New, then it goes down, then standard monospace in terms of the particular element. So it kind of reads it from left to right and applies what is available in terms of the fonts on the computer itself. And so look, you see more of a different spacing going on with it here in that particular situation. I may at some point want to transform the text as well in different elements on the document, and we can do that through the Cascade Style Sheets process. I might, for instance, want to say if it's a heading 1, transform that text, make it uppercase, put some spacing in it of 2 pixels, make it look a little bit different. Transform any heading 1s that may appear in the document. Let's see, header, heading 1. If it's in the header and it's a heading 1, do it this way. Chapter 10, here we go. Let's look at that lesson that was applying these concepts. Could be our chapter 10 here. It's using the Learn CSS in 12 style, okay, on index. And if I am in the header and I am in a heading 1, I wanted to ideally transform that text, my website, to adhere to those criteria thereof. So if you look at my website, see it has all cap there, and it has followed the instructions that I gave it in this particular element. If you're in the header and you're in heading 1, transform the text to be uppercase and let it be 2 pixels. As I look at this, I didn't particularly like when we did this lesson the standard colors that we have here. If I wanted to go with green, one of my favorite colors indeed, we might seek to try the different backgrounds, different colors. There's a website we provided for you called htmlcolorcodes.com. Just a free website to allow you to find that color that you're looking for. You mouse over it and it's going to get you the hexadecimal 6-digit code that represents the color that you want. Actually, that's pretty neat. I just highlighted and it copied it to my clipboard. I like that shade of green. Let's apply that in lieu of that sort of darker gray that we had and look at its effect on our particular website. Aha, that's come to life a lot better in terms of what I'm looking for. And okay, gray is actually a good contrast color as well. You don't always have to, stick with very, very colorful design. We kind of see where we are applying that bottom footer. That footer color, maybe I want to make it a lighter tone of green as well. Maybe this guy. Copy to my clipboard by simply clicking through the miracle of computing, applying it to my particular preview. Aha. So we see our simple base website come together. We've changed up the fonts a bit. We've changed up the colors a bit in terms of the header, in terms of the footer. We're really kind of working through these particular elements in our design. Sometimes you might want to put some paragraphs in your code, and you might want those paragraphs to align a certain way. Let's see what happens when we apply that code per our example. If we have a paragraph, text align left, font size 16, let's see what the impact of that is. Go with a larger font just for emphasis. Aha! And now you see the big effect of the CSS in terms of transforming the font size. Of course, you want it to be a very, very reasonable thing. 16, 18, probably much more reasonable for a website such as this. We're just getting into the code process, transforming text, aligning it as we want. We try align right. You see, it would pull things over in that sense. Definitely makes more sense to align it left. No doubt about that. But folks, overall, I hope you're understanding that web development is an iterative process. Indeed, we had to work through it, do our best to make changes, take chances, make mistakes. It's never perfect on the first time around, but through the miracle of computing, we work and work until we get it right. So I encourage you under those conditions to continue to do your best, continue to make me proud in terms of the work you're submitting, applying what we've learned through the power and the miracle of computing. Thank you for your kind time and attention. We'll pick things up on the next chapter. Dr. T, signing out for now. Thank you so much.